themselves, it's nothing that we have ever seen before, but I do think it plays a super good role in this world and in this universe. So I'm super excited to watch this reveal trailer with you. We're going to do this one a little bit differently. Obviously, up here above me will be the entire playlist of all of the factions that have been revealed so far, so please don't forget to check those out and like and subscribe. And we're going to do this one a little bit different. I'm actually going to go with you guys at the same time instead of having you guys watch it and then me go over it. So I'm going to see, maybe I should just go ahead, I'll go ahead and take myself out of there just in case we miss something up here, but let us get started. We are playing it a little bit slower. I'm just going to do some very light music. Schism faction reveal. So this is what their town looks like. Super interesting, lots of tentacles, snow, ice, water, some very interesting hands and stuff over here, while obviously big baron-like creature up in there. Flying things up here as well, which is interesting. Very cool though. Very cool looking. Obviously some obelisks. And even a dome back here. So let's see. So while we're looking at all of these guys, which I think these are some of the cooler looking heroes that we have seen from all of the factions, there are 18 heroes per faction, and that's just in multiplayer. I believe that there are also some specific campaign heroes that are like just on the campaign themselves. But yes, 18 per faction for multiplayer, so that's a fuck ton. And obviously all of this is subject to change. Some of the stuff that we actually know has been revealed in Discord, but is not in this video, and vice versa, so you know, we're not sure what all is actually gonna make it, but this is just a very good generalized thing. So then we get our first look at Tier 1 Stinging Rashoth. Looks like a big Betty Ninch from Elder Scrolls, or you know, a jellyfish in general. So this one has an area effect hit. I think it's pretty decent for a Tier 1, actually, it seems. Then we have Cultist here, so from what I have seen, it looks like a lot of these units have some form of ranged attack or remote attack. So the remote attack is something new that they're doing, to where, like we just saw with the Cultist here, that it's still at range, but it's only a 1 hex difference here, so that's the remote attack. But the Betty Ninch back there that shot first would have been obviously the normal range that we're used to. So that looks almost like a Grim Raider, but here we have Unspeakable Shoth, so a little bit of a different creature than the first one. Then Bewitcher, almost Medusa-like. Rift Arborator, see more range, lots of ranged and remote attacks. These guys are pretty interesting. And then Abyssal Overseer, looking like a Centaur Cthulhu type creature. Alright, so here are some of the abilities. So Summoning Right, I'm not sure. Actually, let me see. Okay, so once per battle, summons a stack of themselves. So on a friendly corpse's hex, the summon has a portion of the corpse's original stack and total HP, no more units in the casting stack. These creatures are permanent and remain after battle. So My only thing with this is I am not sure if this works on just any corpse at all, because it just says on friendly corpses hex. So obviously it looks like he is essentially resurrecting his own unit right there. But a lot of units have that, so again, it's the same thing right here. So that one seemed to actually be different. That one seemed to be that one looks like the tier 1 unit that we just saw be revived, but it's still a Schism unit. So my question is, can you do it on a neutral unit or a, you know, another factions unit that you might have, you know, you picked up, they wanted to join or whatever. Alright, so Abyssal Tendril deals a moderate amount of normal damage to target enemies and removes one of their counterattack charges. Okay. Deals a small amount of pure damage to the target and all adjacent enemies. Enemies hit have their initiative speed reduced by 1 until the end of the next round. So that's definitely something you want to do, obviously, in the beginning of that round to do that, to make it worth it. So I'm guessing cultists might have a little bit of like extra initiative so they can get that off. Alright, Icy Spikes. This is from the tier 3. Makes an additional attack that deals a moderate amount of pure damage to the target and all adjacent creatures. Doesn't end the turn. Okay. Makes an additional attack, same thing. So yeah, we've seen that Schism does a lot of pure damage and ability stuff, which is their whole point. That's what they've said in the Discord and everything, and the devlogs and stuff like that, so we'll talk about that as well. See, more range, pure damage. Prevents the target from using active abilities last 2 rounds. Okay, what was that last one? Sorry. Fires a shard, black eye. Okay, yeah, no, just saying what it does. Alright. Just target from using active ability. Last 2 rounds though, so that's pretty good. That can definitely be useful if there's a, you know, a high ability using creature out there, or one that you don't want to deal with their abilities for a few rounds. Blocks enemy hero's active abilities until the end of the round. So I wonder, enemy hero's active abilities. I'm not sure exactly what that entails. I guess we'll find out. Deals a lot of magic pure damage to the target for each stack of focus charge available. Interesting. Moves an enemy to a free hex within 4 hexes of their initial position. So I don't know if that makes them just go straight back, or like back at all. I mean, you know, they don't necessarily have to go straight back, but you know, if you're moving them, that risk of them getting closer to your backline or something might not even be worth it. So I don't know about that. Prevents the enemy hero from using their spell book, so that's pretty cool. This effect does not stack, so I don't know if this is just a per round. It doesn't say that, but the fact that you can't stack it makes me think that it's just a per round thing. Because why would you be able to, why would they even need to put this in if that's like for the entire battle? But just my thoughts. Very cool though, either way. Deals a moderate amount of pure damage to all enemies and reduces their speed and initiative by 1. Last 2 rounds. So I'm guessing this is going to take a lot of focus charge to do that one. Allows this creature to immediately take additional actions after its first action. Okay. Doesn't end the turn. Forces the enemy target to attack a random target. Okay, so this is kind of like previous spells that we've seen, you know, like Frenzy and whatnot. But that is it, everybody. We will bring my beautiful face back in here. That is the entire Schism faction. We have seen some full reveals of some people, but from what I have seen, it looks like so many of the units actually have ranged attacks. So when we look at him, he's doing range, and then when we look at Cultist, he does a remote attack here. And then the tier 3 rider, which makes me think of like a Grim Raider or Basilisk or something. They usually always have something like that. They didn't with Dungeon this time, so. But still very cool. It actually almost reminds me of like Avatar, of them riding the things in the water. So this is obviously a melee unit, but we see later on that their ability, they have an ability that shoots. Then the Bewitcher does a ranged attack as well, which we just missed there. But then same for the Arburator here, range again. And then, you know, Cthulhu doesn't have any range. So we're looking at, let's see, first one does, Cultist at least does remote attack. Then we go, the Rider doesn't. Okay, so that's 2 to 1. And then 4 is the Shoth, which has an ability that we see later that shoots. Bewitcher shoots, Arburator shoots, and then Cthulhu here doesn't. So 5 to 2 on ranged or remote attacks, which is pretty crazy, especially considering they do pure damage. But I'm guessing because of that, they're probably going to be pretty weak as far as like honestly, just in general with attack and defense, because they do pure damage, so there's no way to go around it. But at the same time, because they're so focused on pure damage and being able to attack you from a distance, that you know, and use abilities like we're seeing, that it's going to be I think it's going to be a big balancing act with these guys, honestly. I think it's going to be very, like, you know, they're super magic heavy, essentially, which is what, you know, Unfrozen has said. You know, in this game, magic is going to be strong, you know, arguably the strongest that it's ever been, because usually might is at least equal to it, if not better sometimes. So this is what I'm talking about, the Shoth doing a ranged attack, but it obviously is an actual cast ability, I'm guessing, so focus charge need there, but still, just the fact that they have it, I think it's going to be, they're going to do as much pure damage to you as they can before you get to them, and then they'll go from there. But I think they're pretty cool. I think honestly a lot of these creatures fit very well into the world of Heroes. Same with the faction itself, and I think it's cool that, you know, while we're getting 6 factions to start, and all of them we have seen before, in a way at least, except for this one, is super cool. So we're starting, you know, a new game with a new faction. We have all of the other, you know, great ones that we're used to, you know, Haven/Temple, Necropolis. Hive is technically Inferno, obviously very different, but still there. Dungeon, you know, we've seen every single game. And then Sylvan, we have seen a lot. It's a little bit different this time, and it's not in every single game, at least not to start anyway, but it's still a normal faction that we are used to. And then this, which has all very, you know, unique creatures, unique faction, and faction ability. So their faction ability is actually when you go into a battle, it's called communion. So how many communion points you have going into each battle, and you fighting gives you increased communion. So, you know, your first fight of the week, you know, you're going to have just like baseline 1 communion. You know, you fight some neutral units, you know, let's just say you fight 2 or 3, then you have, you know, 3 or 4 communion at that point. So then with the increased communion gives you more creatures to start. Now those creatures don't stay in your army or your fight, but you know, let's just say you have 10 Cthulhu's here, and you know, you have 4 communion or whatever, then you know, you might have like, I don't even know the percentage that they said, but you know, that you're gonna start the battle with 14 instead of 10, you know, and then those 4 will come off. But I'm actually not sure how that will. I mean, it'll probably just play effect of like, let's just say, you know, you lost 5 of them, those 4 will probably still come off at the end of the fight to where, you know, you'll be down to 5 instead of 9, something like that. But either way, their whole thing is you're going to start each battle based on how many fights you've had. I believe it goes by a weekly thing. How many fights you have won, and how much communion you have at that point to how many extra creatures you start the battle with. So I think that's pretty cool. And it'll be interesting to see. I mean, definitely very like attack heavy, but for a reason. So I think honestly that will be good in the beginning, just to kind of like help you better keep some of your units. But I think late game, when there's like, you know, less neutrals around, that it probably won't be that much more, just because, you know, you won't have been fighting so much, because again, you know, there won't be as many creatures around the map to attack to build that communion up. But still, I mean, just having extra is nice in general. So we'll see, and I don't think that that counts as like gated or anything like that, to where like if you fall below, you know, like I said, you start with 10, let's say you lost 10 and you still have the 4 or however many it would give you, I don't think they just disappear and you lose or anything like that. But I'm not sure if you end up losing all of those, how it will work if you win the fight, but then I don't know, just talking, just speculating. But this is the Schism faction for Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. Super excited to play it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out all of my other faction reveal videos. And we're definitely going to be having a lot of videos on this game in general. The arena mode, the campaign, yeah, just multiplayer, everything. So stick around for it, like, subscribe, and obviously go down in the description and follow me on Twitch so you could be here live for it. And we will see you guys in the next video.